Our fourth reader is Gretchen Phillips. Gretchen has been around the block and then some. Moving to Austin in 1981, she has lived many artistic lives here. From music to woodworking to photography, theater, and more. Every day, she asks herself this simple question: what do I love about the creative process? Then she just goes out and does it. Gretchen Phillips.
This class has been so fun and so interesting. I just have to say that. The story of how I got saved at Palmer Auditorium. I've been in such a stable relationship with the Lady C for so long that I sometimes forget that in my early 20s, my life was rife with girl drama. I got girls and lost girls and cheated and got cheated on constantly, and it really took its toll. When I was 19, I had been living with the drunken genius for about one very tumultuous year. Then I dated this other girl. Let's just call her the letter D. And it was less dramatic, and it involved more sex. So I preferred that relationship. Things went well with me and D for about, say, 3 weeks. Then one long drunken night after a show, a bit of wife swapping took place that changed the course of my life forever. D and the drunken genius started making out, and they just never stopped. They kept on going and going and going on into the next morning and eventually into the next several years. I couldn't believe what was unfolding before my blurry eyes. Loss, loss, loss. I was losing D to the girl I left for her. Back then, I smoked a pack a day, but the stress of the new proceedings drove me to 2.5. That's a cigarette pretty much every time the word pops into your head. I always had a headache, and I was generally just miserable. I lost 2 girls in one night, and they were lasting longer than 3 weeks. But eventually it got to where the 3 of us could hang out, and it wasn't too painful for me. We would do all sorts of crazy stuff. One Friday night, we got it into our heads to go to a free revival meeting at Palmer Auditorium to see what it was all about. So 3 punk rock chicks entered the big space where the inspirational music was blaring and people were swearing. No, they weren't swearing, they were sweating and singing, and to our credit, we got swept up in the feeling. We got really engaged and we started giving it our all. Then the preacher asked for the people who were really feeling the spirit to come forward, closer to the stage. We looked at each other questioningly. Well, yeah, actually, I'm feeling something with you. Yes, you are too? Yeah, something's going on. The Spirit had a hold on us. I loved having this feeling in common with these 2 girls I'd lost to each other. So somehow we kept finding ourselves inwardly propelled closer and closer to the front of the stage by the call of Christ's unconditional love. There was a group of us at the front for a while, listening to the testimony, and then the preacher told us to move down this hall. Okay. Our group lost some believers going down the hall. And then the 3 dykes were met by their own personal witness for the Lord, who was there to minister to us one-on-one. We were in a little backstage room with fluorescent lights. My witness lady was sincere and nice. I honestly don't remember much more of the proceedings than that she gave me a Bible, and I promised that I would attend her church that very Sunday. I felt I needed to promise something or they wouldn't let me out of there. Dee and the drunken genius and I left Palmer Auditorium. We felt pretty high on something. I don't know what. We talked about how we had a new chance with life, a new beginning now that we've been saved. We each discussed how we felt less like drinking and smoking, and we hoped that this good feeling of inner health and calm would last. Well, it didn't. I don't think it lasted 20 minutes. After our processing, we all felt like getting drunk, but none of us had any money. We were all broke, and that's why we were at a free revival meeting on a Friday night. We hung out in the park trying to come up with what to do next. Someone suggested that we go to a nearby bar and have men buy us drinks. I liked that idea. That sounded like a real adventure. I'd never done anything remotely like that before, and I was game. So we went to a giant bar that has since been many things. Currently, it's Le Bear, the ultimate ladies club. We split up when we arrived, figuring that it would be easier for a guy to afford to buy each one of us one drink rather than a pack of drinks for 3 girls. I stood at the bar for a while by myself, trying to look normal and less punk. And somehow a man did come up and ask if he could buy me a drink. I jumped on that one. He got me a gin and tonic and asked me if I had a boyfriend. Oh, I'm married, I said. Oh, he said, surprised. Where's your husband? France, he's in France. It was the first thing that popped into my head. I needed for this husband to exist, but not to be there at that bar. And France seemed like a good location for him. Then he asked me to dance. Dee was already on the floor with her guy. I saw the drunken genius going around to tables and finishing off drinks that folks dancing with. I kind of thought that was cheating, since the point was to get guys to buy us drinks, not to just steal other people's when they weren't looking. But she wasn't called the drunken genius for nothing. Michael Jackson's Thriller had just come out. That night, for the first time, I danced to the song that says, "You're a vegetable, you're a vegetable, you're a vegetable." I couldn't believe my ears. Why was he saying that in a song? How could we be dancing blithely along to those lyrics? Anyway, after dancing, my guy wanted to become more intimate, but I didn't want to. And somehow I got rid of him and went to look for the other girls. I found Dee, and then we saw that the drunken genius was very absorbed in conversation with this one guy. She came up and told us that she found a good one because this guy had coke, and maybe we should take him back to the warehouse she lived in. I wasn't sure about that, but I really wanted to be with these girls, Dee in particular. So somehow we convinced ourselves that it was a good idea to go back to the drunken genius's place downtown with this strange man. Honestly, the next part is a little vague in my recollection. It turned out he didn't have coke, he had pot. I didn't much care, but that was a major affront to the drunken genius, who felt that he'd gotten us to take him home under false pretenses. To make matters worse, he found an acoustic guitar lying around and started singing his own compositions to us. What a fucking nightmare. First we got saved by the Lord Jesus Christ, and then we promptly sank so far that we were spending the wee hours with some guy we picked up at a bar who was now serenading us. Was this his fantasy? To go home with 3 lesbians and play them his kick-ass acoustic songs? I was able to steal a few moments with Dee while the guy sang his little heart out in order to pathetically ask her why she left me. Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why? I just needed to know. Of course, unfortunately, she didn't have a good answer. My heart sank. My dream of having another wife swap take place that night and to be returned to my rightful place in bed with Dee did not come true. Finally, the very formidable German roommate came out of her room to see what the live man music at 3 a.m. was all about. And that broke up the party, thank God. The guy left, we never did get any coke, and I never got my girlfriend back. I was stuck being single with a 2.5 pack a day habit. And although I'd just been saved by the Lord Jesus Christ, it didn't seem like it actually took. Anyway.